I like you said that with a question. Filmed in Minnesota.
Huh?
I'm Rahana Power. Yeah, filmed in Minnesota. Woo. So we have Kaija on, and Kaija,
Hello.
I'm gonna jump right in because you and I met like for the first time about 7 minutes ago.
Right. And
Give or
through
take.
a screen at
Through a
that.
screen.
Mhm.
And I am a mess right now. So really, you got a really raw deal on this.
I think you learn more about people in their messy states than you do in their put together ones.
That concerns me because anyway, but I want to get to know you a little bit more. We have so much to talk about, but first, I got to ask you the big question, my favorite that I ask everyone. So, Kaija, can you tell us about like a special, I don't want to say special, like fun, interesting, unique, special skill, talent thing that you do that others, maybe everybody knows and you're just like, this is common knowledge, and maybe you're like, I've kept this secret and right now is the time to divulge?
I mean, it's not a big secret.
Okay.
It's been very much not in demand for the last few years. My arms, when you put them out, are 3 inches taller than I am. I'm 5'9". I have a 6 foot wingspan, so it makes me really, really good at hugs.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, you're right. Not super in demand right now,
No.
but
Mhm.
that's also awesome.
I love a good hug,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't?
right?
If
I
you
think
don't, then
once
you
we're,
really
like,
need it.
Actually, in the clear, we're just going to see people like on the street holding each other for a while.
As we should.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Although at that point, I'll still probably be like, okay, you're hugging, but where's your mask?
Yes.
Like hugs
Absolutely.
with masks.
Yep.
Because I was fine with germs before, and now I'm like, yeah.
Fair enough.
So I have to ask.
Mhm.
Feel free to tell me shut up. Did you ever play basketball? Which is like
No.
No?
I mean, I did for fun, like in my friend's backyard.
Yeah.
But basketball, girls basketball is it a winter sport? I don't even remember where it lies in the school year, but I was already doing theater like as full time as humanly possible. So I was always in the community theater show. And then I went to Perpich, to the arts high school in Golden Valley. And they don't have any sports teams. So I obviously didn't play sports at all there.
Yeah. All right. That makes sense. Theater comes first anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Number one in my heart.
Yeah. So this question's for all of us, but guys, we're just kind of mixing it up a little bit. What are y'all into right now? Like, what's one thing that you guys really nerd out on this go round right now? For me, it's I'm really into Cowboy Bebop on Netflix, but it was canceled. So the whole like, oh, this is really cool, and I was late to the game on this one, but it was just kind of like, yeah, it didn't do so well in the first month, so we're canceling it. It's like, wait a minute.
That's so disappointing.
So quick on the draw as far as canceling shows. Like my favorite joke that I've seen is Netflix really should have run the pandemic because it would have been canceled after one season. Like, yeah, true.
So accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So what is Cowboy Bebop? Like, I know I've seen like I think like a thumbnail or something of the guy, and I don't remember his name. But I
John
love him.
Cho?
He's from from Star Trek and
Harold and
Kumar.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yep.
He's in it. And so I was initially intrigued. I was like, ooh, I love that guy. But then I after that I was like, this seems weird. And so I never watched it. So what is it about? Like what I'm confused.
It's based on the anime series, I think, and called Cowboy Bebop, so it's all drafted from that. Netflix's response and excuse for it was too expensive.
I
Do
mean,
you believe that?
No. They spend way more on Stranger Things, and we get way fewer episodes from them. So it's like,
Oh yeah.
they actually did pretty good for considering what you're seeing. It's like
Mhm.
I liked it. I'm liking it a lot. So yeah, that's my little like what I'm into right now. So
Kaya, what about you?
I'm unemployed at the moment, like I think a lot of us are. So I do a lot of binge watching. I had never seen Killing Eve, so I just watched that one last week.
Yes.
Amazing. Like
Yes.
blows my mind. And then I just finished or caught up with the series Yellowstone with Kevin Costner. It's like the standard epic Western that they used to make in like the 50s, all about, getting the West and all of that, but it's set modern. So they've all got cell phones and all that things. And it's pretty violent. And there's a lot of like, let's call them civilians, like killing people for revenge and stuff. But
So
as long as you could
Texas?
just, Montana,
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
And
Oh.
Yellowstone.
right? Yep.
Oh.
And they're cattle ranchers. But it was really good. Interesting to see Kevin Costner doing something kind of that gritty, because I always think of him as Robin Hood without an English accent, or trying
Yeah.
to do one every once in a while and then not doing it anymore. And yeah.
Interesting.
So that's the big one I just watched. Very epic.
Mhm. I've heard a lot of people love it.
Mhm.
My boyfriend's trying to get me to watch it, and I'm like, the Western aspect is what's not getting me, and so I'm like, nah, I'm good. But man, people are trying. They're like, it's
There's some
amazing.
incredible performances.
Yeah.
Kelly Riley, who's an English actor, plays his daughter, and she just kills it. It's amazing.
Right. Well, I'm totally with you on Killing Eve. The new season comes out at the end of February.
So excited.
Yeah, the final season.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, so the first three were excellent. It's just like they keep topping themselves. I was just like, what?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
like Rohanna and I know Emerald Fennell from doing the Women in Film podcast, and
yeah.
she was
Nice.
integrated into that with the writing. So
Mhm.
Yeah, she's one of those incredible, just all around filmmaker, everything people to look up to
Yeah.
her a lot.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I do still have to watch Killing Eve. It's on the list. It's a
See,
very
it was
long
for me.
list, but-
It was for me too. And then a friend was like, the final season starts in February, and you should be watching it in real time so that you can like scream on the internet with people about it.
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, okay. And so I mean, obviously not doing anything. So I sat down and watched it all in like 2 days.
that's
I did
awesome.
that with The Witcher.
yeah.
It was like less than 48 hours, and I was like, well, that's done.
I watched the first like 30 minutes of the first episode of The Witcher, and I just couldn't get into it.
That
Yeah.
makes me so sad. I'm obsessed with that. Like I'm
Yeah.
a crazy person. Yeah, it's
Big Henry
ridiculous.
Cavill fan.
After this, yes. Him in this role 100%. Like I liked him before. Like, yeah, Henry Cavill's good. He's perfect as Superman. He's really good in other stuff. He's funny. He's interesting. He's good at what he does. Yeah, cool. And then this came out, and I was like, well, that's how that works. That's how it goes.
Somebody I went to school with is in season 2. Yeah, I went to. I think Nicole
Arts.
Gaden was on the podcast. We went to the same grad school. I was there the year after her in Scotland, wearing a Scotland sweatshirt. But a girl who was an undergrad, who's deaf, she's in season 2 somewhere. I'm not sure what she's doing,
Ooh.
but yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now I need to go back and rewatch. So
There you
do
go.
that, just the whole
Mhm.
season.
Yeah.
So I'm a crazy person about The Witcher, but like the one thing that I've been kind of into lately, is I'm rewatching, and it's partially because I rewatched How I Met Your Mother, and I was like, man, I love Allison Hannigan. And it's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go on Hulu. You already know what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna rewatch Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes, I
And
do
I
know.
am 4 seasons in, and I'm like, this is so bad, and I love every moment of it. And now I'm like, well, now I have to rewatch Angel after I'm done with this. So I'm just loving life like a 13-year-old again, and I don't even care.
A couple of weeks ago, for some reason, I started watching Baywatch, the TV series.
Yes.
And again, so bad. Like TV of our childhood
terrible.
Was wild. Just wild.
And our parents are like, sure.
Right? If you like Buffy and Angel, you should also check out I think it's on Netflix still, a Canadian series called Winona Earp. Also a Western, but involves killing demons and all that sort of stuff. And it's very female-led. It's more modern. And the writing is just snappy and amazing. So
I think I've heard of that. And I totally forgot about it until you just mentioned it. I'm going to have to put that in the queue. Oh, man.
Wow.
So,
yeah, a lot of series. Like that's kind of how it's going. You know, I think everyone's attaching to one series or another. You both had two, so I'll say Euphoria also, just so I have two in there.
There you go.
I want to watch that.
Everything leveled out.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about Euphoria. I haven't checked that one out yet either.
It's something.
So
I don't know how to describe it. It's
like,
visually stunning. It's just that plus like all the techniques that they do, lighting and colors. It's euphoric. So, but
does it worry you about the future of our current high school aged children? Like, does it worry you about the future of our current high school aged children?
Worries for all my children.
Everyone.
There you go.
Is that the soap opera?
All I know about it is that there's a lot of drugs, like a lot.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is like it's. I was kind of worried they wouldn't make season 2 because everyone's getting like older. So, it released in summer of 2019, and 2 years later, it's like they were kind of getting by as high schoolers then, and now it's like, I don't know how much look like high schoolers, but
they're still young. I mean, most of the high school aged actors on Buffy were in their mid to late 20s, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna hopefully keep being the thing.
It's funny because I keep looking that up every time I'm watching. Like every time I'm watching, I'm just like, wait, how old are they again? And I'm like doing the math. I'm like, man, I gotta figure something out about my skincare routine or something. Like they look amazing, and I'm just like, oh.
Makeup and cameras, man, and the lights.
Yeah. And then like the 90s, I'm assuming Euphoria is very like modern. But like the 90s shows like their hairstyles and like the little butterfly clips everywhere and the headband.
Glitter eyeshadow.
Yes. And like
t-shirts.
The outfits.
I was just talking to somebody the other day about we all had t-shirts that had words on them that were just covered in glitter.
Oh yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I'm still vacuuming up that glitter on a regular basis.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, other timeless things, a snap bracelet, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What else was there? Yo-yos
were huge for us for a while.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pogs.
But that not necessarily Pogs. So Pogs never made it up to where I'm living right now. I live currently on the Iron Range.
Mm-hmm.
But we moved up here from St. Paul during the Pogs like craze. And we got here and I was like, I have all these Pogs and like the greatest slammers. I'm going to be the coolest kid in school. Nobody had any idea what they were.
Oh no.
Yeah. I was like, dang.
Oh man.
Yeah, for me, it was like Marvel cards and then Pogs and then like Magic the Gathering came about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't even remember much of my childhood outside of Buffy, so I couldn't tell you. I'm sure that we did things.
I mean, Buffy was that phenomena though, that it like takes over your personality, right?
It really did, because I remember specifically we had like this little store, because I'm from California, so we had this little store in the city that I lived in where they had like tarot cards and crystals and like all that kind of stuff, and like books you could get on like Wicca stuff. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna be just like Willow. I went down there. I probably made my parents spend way too much on things that I certainly never understood. And I was like, I'm gonna be just like her. It's gonna be great. And here I am. So that didn't work out. But
no magical spell casting abilities or
right? It never happened. It's very disappointing. But yeah, I was like, this is going to be the coolest. I'm going to be the coolest person ever. And all because of that show. They brainwashed us. That's what they did.
There are worse things that can brainwash you, though, I think. I feel
That's accurate.
Yeah.
I agree. Shows today, I feel like would be a lot worse.
I mean, news channels today.
Oof. Yeah, that's a real thing.
Yep.
So, Kaija Pellinen, I didn't introduce you fully up front, so I'm going to get another shot at it here. You're an actress, right?
I primarily, yeah.
Primarily, okay.
Sometimes I do art department work as well.
Ooh, okay.
Like prop making and set dressing and stuff.
What's the coolest prop you've ever made?
The one that was the most fun when I was in college, my undergrad, they did Evil Dead the musical, and there's a scene where a demon beaver chases somebody around. So I made a remote control beaver.
Oh my god,
that was really cool.
Remote control beaver just moving around the stage. Probably.
Yeah, it was a kid's remote control car, and then I made a body to go over the whole thing.
A musical was what was it? Evil Dead, was it? What was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the I've never seen the movies because I don't like horror, but it's the one where the guy has a chainsaw hand.
Yeah.
Like his hand gets cut off and somehow he attaches a chainsaw to his arm.
Logical.
Yeah. Right. I'm sure listeners are probably going crazy. Like,
Ash.
How does she not know this? But
yeah. I think the character's name is Ash. So
that sounds right.
They made that series Ash versus Evil Dead or something.
Yes,
because he's from Army of Darkness, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. I knew him from Xena.
Yeah.
Yes.
Girl,
Bruce
you and me.
Bruce Campbell. Yes.
Yeah. I think that's right.
Yes.
Speaking of bad television, that brings us straight back to our childhood.
Loved it so much.
Absolutely.
Wanted to be
Hercules.
just like
I could live without, but Xena,
Xena was the best.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love it so much. Let's just talk about this.
All right. It's all on Tubi. I think Xena
is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Ellen, what was your favorite snack as a kid? Like treat, like Pop Rocky, fruit by the footy, Gusher Z.
Either Fruit by the Foot or Gushers.
I also just liked a good old fashioned banana with some peanut butter on it.
I mix banana peanut butter sandwiches all the time.
Oh yeah. This morning for breakfast I had it was Nutella and banana, but basically the same thing.
Yeah. I will say if I want like a treat and we don't have any like chocolate here or like desserty stuff, I'll do like piece of bread, peanut butter, sliced banana, and then I'll drizzle like dark chocolate chips on top.
Oh
my gosh.
Fancy.
I'm just the least healthy person ever, but it's so good.
I mean, you got banana in there. That's and peanut butter is protein.
That's true.
Banana's
I'm really
potassium.
trying to get all 4 food groups in one snack.
Done. Sorted. Grains. You got it all.
That's true. Yeah. Thanks, Doc.
Yeah. I mean, I do technically have 3 degrees in theater, but they're in theater. So
that's okay. Yeah. That counts.
Yeah. Okay.
Theater is like, that's life, like all sorts of life experience going into one thing.
Right.
So.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I've
played a doctor before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. So.
Yep.
Exactly. On Tubi or something.
Yeah.
So Kaija, what got you started in acting?
Well, so my dad was an opera singer. And when we moved from St. Paul to the Iron Range, I think he could see that I was pretty pressed. And the Christmas after we'd moved, he said, "Hey, I'm going to audition for this show. Do you want to come and audition with me?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. I'll give it a shot." And it was a musical version of A Christmas Carol called Mr. Scrooge. My dad played Bob Cratchit, and I was the little boy that goes to fetch the goose. And for some reason, I was also the only one that was in dialect. So I was the little English boy who goes to get the goose. Don't understand it. But yeah, so I was like, I think I was like 7 or 8. And I was hooked. I was bitten by the bug, as they say, and I've never looked back.
Mm.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, that's a lot. I assume that you didn't just jump into like movies right away.
Oh, no.
So what was your first film role, and when did that happen?
My first film role was after undergrad. I auditioned for a series called Superhuman, a web series. So that was 2013. I had finished a professional musical theater show, and then moved out to LA for a few months, and then came back to Minnesota and auditioned for this show and got it. It was like, what did we do? 9 episodes, like 9 minutes each-ish web series that was on YouTube for a while. And then Studio Canal bought it for their web series streaming platform that failed, just like, what was the one we tried to do here? It was a Quibi. It was similar to Quibi. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. It used to be on YouTube and Vimeo, and I think technically Studio Canal still owns the rights, so we can't put it back up yet.
Oh,
that sucks.
Yeah.
Dang,
man.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully, in a couple of years, that'll lapse and they can put it back up, because there were plans for a season 2 and 3, and yeah, things just weren't able to happen right away, and yeah.
Come on, Studio Canal.
Mm-hmm. There's still possibilities for a season 2.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But a ways off. We'll be in our 40s instead of 20-somethings by that time.
Right. Man, I remember that series when it was first coming out, because we were discussing about that a little bit earlier before the recording. Ben Enke directed, right? Yeah,
it was his first project out of college. Like, he'd kind of done the pilot as a school project, and then went, "Hey, this little pilot thing that I made, I could actually make this into a series." So he got a couple of buddies, and they put it together. And I think we filmed over like 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow.
And then like 6 months later, we had to go back and do reshoots, but my hair had completely changed. So there's a couple of scenes where I am wearing a wig, and if you're really looking, it's pretty obvious. We're lucky that it's all wide shots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's funny, because Ben's really into cameras, and still is, obviously. But yeah, that's wow. That sucks that it's like stuck, it's in the hands of someone else.
Right. In that sort of limbo.
Yeah. Wish it were accessible. That's kind of the point. That's what you
Me
want.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a good series.
It was a lot of fun to work on, and I learned a lot.
Yeah, I bet. Speaking of which, like, is there certain roles within the filmmaking aspect that I guess you kind of have art department, but like, are there roles that intrigue you the most too?
Like, acting is, like I said, my number one. I absolutely love it because I get to do and be something a little different. But art department works a different side of my creative brain that is so much fun too. Like, I worked on something once where they were doing a bunch of reshoots, but a bunch of the set dressing and props had gone away and weren't available. So I was rebuilding like artwork to go on walls. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then right now I am, because everything's not happening, I'm writing something for the first time, which is really hard. Writing is not my strong suit, but I'm trying, and I've got a writing partner who has a degree in screenwriting, so that helps a lot.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I just like playing and being part of the team, really.
Mm-hmm.
You almost need it. Well, unless you really know what you want, like Tarantino or something. It's kind of like I like having a writing, just someone to bounce ideas off of, even just
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
feedback, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, writing is tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, props to you for that. I think
Mhm.
about it all the time. Like, man, I just wish I had like an idea that I could just spring off of and
Mhm.
write something. Because I feel like the process, although albeit I'm sure it's very frustrating at times, it could just be so fun to like be the original creator of something.
Mhm.
But I can't do it. And
Yeah.
I admire the people who do so much.
Mhm.
So yeah, huge props to you for trying that
Thank you.
and just going for it, because that's awesome.
Yeah, it's taken us, and this is like on and off. We don't have a regular writing schedule, but it's taken us like 2 years to write 2 half-hour episodes.
Mhm.
So it's really hard. And at least for me, like the way ideas start with me is it's a scene. I see it visually and then
Mm-hmm.
try to figure out how to get it down on paper and how to connect all of those dots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes I like think of like draw a timeline, and maybe that helps, but it's just it's a lot to keep track of, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you have things like The Witcher where they're not in
Yeah.
order. So it's like
Yeah.
season 1 was kind of, for me, that was confusing. It was like, what is going on? So you have to watch it over and over to try and pick up like what's going on. But then season 2 comes along and it's like more linear. It's just like, okay, this makes more sense.
I think they probably got a lot of feedback from the audience saying, we were very, very confused.
Yeah.
It's funny. I loved that aspect of it. So
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite things about season 1. And I think it's one of the most like the biggest things that other people didn't like, which I think is really funny.
Yeah. Well, it was
Mhm.
inspired by wasn't it Nolan's film? What was the World War film he did?
Did he do Dunkirk?
Dunkirk, yeah. It was
That was an
inspired by
incredible
that.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. Everything he does is unbelievable.
Mhm.
It's kind of rude. Like just
I'm not a huge DC fan, but like his Batman is definitely way
Yeah.
up there on the list.
quite good.
Yeah.
It's just different. Put a
Yeah.
whole different twist on it. So speaking of like other movies, like big time movies, who's your favorite actor
Oh, geez.
or actors?
I
The whole range
I
of
have
humans.
so many for so many different reasons.
Mhm.
Like, so one of my favorites is the show Winona Earp that I recommended earlier. There's an actress named Melanie Scrofano. She plays the lead. She's also in Letterkenny. She plays Mrs. McMurray.
Oh.
And just the amount of range that an actor can show.
Yeah.
Also, probably one of the best personalities I've seen of an actor off camera, just in interviews and stuff.
Oh, really?
I love it. I also love like Judi Dench, of course. Gugu Mbatha-Raw. I love English actors because I think a lot of them come more from the traditions of theater before they start doing film.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, as somebody that started in theater, it's easy to look up to that.
Yeah.
Jessica Chastain is incredible.
Yes. Did you see the 355 yet?
Not yet. And I'm
It's
looking
out?
forward to it because I love spy movies.
Yeah. It's in theaters, yeah.
What? Oh, okay. That's happening.
Things to do.
I thought it was like coming out next month or something.
I think it's coming out on home streaming next month because it was going to do
Yeah.
a double
Peacock
release
next month, I think.
okay. That might be my confusion. Sorry,
Yeah.
sidetracked. I got very
That's okay.
excited when you said that.
And speaking of 355, then Lupita Nyong'o.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Number one, Emma Thompson.
Oh, yes. Love her. Favorite Emma Thompson role, like movie?
Beatrice in Much Ado About Nothing.
Mm.
And then we were talking earlier about 90s things that we watched. Recently, I rewatched Junior. Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Emma Thompson is the love interest, is Arnold Schwarzenegger's love interest in that. And I had completely forgotten. Yeah. And she's the awkward, clumsy, incredible love interest. It's so good.
Oh, I don't remember that. Now I need to watch it. Oh my gosh. So
if you don't know, Junior is Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger were like Jason Reitman's Ivan Reitman, somebody's number one comic duo in the late 80s, early 90s. And so this film is one where they impregnate Arnold Schwarzenegger. So Arnold Schwarzenegger is pregnant.
It's so
Take
dumb.
that how you want.
It's so dumb. But it was, and rewatching it as a fully grown human woman, I was very much confused as to a lot of the anatomical choices they made. But, okay.
Sure.
Yep.
It's the 90s.
Yeah.
Now I need to rewatch that. I forgot how dumb that is. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine pitching that idea. Imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito, but one of them's pregnant.
And someone listens to that and
be?
goes, I'm in. Let's go right now. Green light it.
Okay. Today,
smack somebody next to him. How
some
did you not
producer
think
would look at you like you were absolutely nuts.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. Talking about process there for Arnold or whoever. What's your favorite thing about the acting process and why?
I just love getting to step in someone else's shoes. There's a moment where you're always there, absolutely. But every once in a while, there's a moment where something just clicks and you're playing another character and all of a sudden you're having these other life experiences. And then if you're really lucky, what you're doing affects other people, like your audience members, and maybe it gives them an idea about something or makes them think hard about something else in their life. And I think that's absolutely the best part of it, is when you can actually, you tell a story, but your story touches somebody in some way.
Right.
Yeah. Just having it resonate with people.
Yeah. There's something about that. Yeah. Yeah. As actors, we're meant to show parts of life that maybe the audience doesn't necessarily get to see. And the more we know about other people and other stories and other cultures, the less we're afraid of anything, right?
Interesting.
And as people relate to things, even if maybe they aren't able to or don't know how to address that within themselves or acknowledge that or allow themselves to like feel that like gives them a safe space and moment.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, that's one of the things I miss most about being able to do theater right now is you're up there doing your show, but you can feel the audience and if you have them hooked or if you have them like in the palm of your hand, right? If they're being affected in some way, the show is like 100 times better on those nights.
Right.
Absolutely. So you've done a lot in your acting career so far, like from theater into film, missing theater. I'm sure like that's still something that you're very, if it were still ongoing right now, like available to do, you would be doing it. Have you progressed in your acting career so far as you maybe have expected yourself to?
Yes and no. I mean, I think all of us this last 2 years, the progression we thought we were going to make and got stunted.
Right.
But I never, when I was little, I never thought I was going to do film. I thought I was going to be a stage actor and that's it. When I got out of undergrad, I thought I was only going to do musical theater. And then I started doing a lot of Shakespeare. And then now that I'm doing all of those things, I love them all for very different reasons. And they're all very different aspects of acting and the arts. So yes, in that I'm still doing theater, and no, in that I had no idea I was going to get into film at all.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Life surprise.
And I love it.
Interesting. Yeah, because you started with theater, so that makes sense. And then film, like moving to LA, I would think that would be like film oriented.
Yeah. And that was, I kind of thought, well, maybe I'll see what happens. So I did, I think it was one of their longest runs yet. My first job out of undergrad was hairspray at Chanhassen Dinner Theater. Yeah, it was awesome. It was great. I played Penny Pingleton. But I was living with my aunt and uncle at the time, so I wasn't paying rent and I was saving a bunch of money. And a friend of mine from college who was living in LA had gotten a national tour and was like, hey, I need a subletter. I said, yeah, okay. So I went out there for the time she was going to be gone, thinking, I'll check this out. I'll see what it's all about. And I don't have to worry about money. So this is a good opportunity to go see something else. And I did some background work on Bones and Two Broke Girls. And being
fun.
on those professional sets, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like I could see myself kind of doing this sort of thing. So came back home and started building up a film resume.
Have you, going off script here, have you thought about ever going back to LA, or is that
a little bit? I think I could go back for the space of a job, like the time period of a job. But being a Minnesota girl, I need weather patterns and green, which doesn't exist in LA. Like in Minnesota, we base everything off of when the last blizzard was, or when that tornado came through, or the blizzard of 91, as we all like to say. And in LA, it's hazy in the morning, and then about noon, the sun comes out, and every day's the same. It rained one time when I was there, and I could walk between the drops. It was barely rain at all. And I love thunderstorms. I love them. So I had no concept of time. I was there for 4 months, and the day that I left, it felt like it had been 2 weeks because I couldn't base anything off anything. So yeah. But I need green. I need to be able to go out and go camping or go for a hike and breathe in some pine trees.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Air quality in LA is not great.
No. I like to go visit. I like to see my friends, and I haven't been out actually since I came back, but I've been meaning to. So yeah. When things clear back up again.
Yeah. Right. Hopefully.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Of all the roles you've played in the past, what have been your favorites?
Ooh. Penny was 100% one of my favorites. Let's talk about a show that can affect people.
Yeah.
I was doing that one in the spring of 2012 when Trayvon Martin was killed. And that I didn't understand it as a 20-something-year-old kid, freshly out of school, from northern Minnesota. So like my diverse background wasn't huge, but I could feel from the audience members and from my fellow cast members like there was feelings, a lot of feelings at that time, which is incredible because that's those moments when the actors and the audience is all there together and half of us are crying, no matter if you're on stage or in the audience. That was great. And then the web series that I did, Superhuman, I loved playing Teresa, with my character's name, Teresa Tillman, who has the ability to feel other people's emotions, which is, I think, just a good one for all of us. Empathy. And
Absolutely.
then the last theater thing I did before everything shut down, I played Beatrice in Much Ado About Nothing, and that was fun because she's just wisecracking chaos. So.
That's
Awesome.
fun. Have
Good list.
How much you mentioned that like you had never really thought about doing Shakespeare until like you kind of did. How much Shakespeare have you done? Is it pretty substantial, or have you just like sort of dipped your toe into a couple roles? Beatrice, somebody else.
Kind of like classical work has mostly been what I've done since I got back from grad school. I went to the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. Not a university, not a conservatoire. They get a little bit more money for having an O-I-R-E instead of an O-R-Y. I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
And my program there was contemporary and classical text. Mm-hmm. So it was working on Shakespeare. You do a month in London at the Globe. So I did a fair amount there. And then I've done a lot since I got back. I'll talk about this a little bit later when we talk about films that are inspiring, but one of the things I remember most is we had this old black and white film of A Midsummer Night's Dream with Mickey Rooney plays Puck, and he's about 12 years old. And
wow.
Yeah, my parents tell me that I was like 5 years old running around the house quoting Puck lines. I don't remember it, but it's still one of those films that I go back to all the time.
Understandable. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, you just mentioned this, but, thinking about what's inspired you in your career so far, like what has been the most influential, films that you've watched, whether when you were little up until now, like.
So that Midsummer Night's Dream. Another favorite is Whale Rider. It was a New Zealand film, by director Nikki Caro, who also directed Zookeeper's Wife, and then I think that's the one, it's called. But then the one that filmed up here in northern Minnesota, North Country, which is about the first sexual harassment class action lawsuit. Yep. It takes place at the mines that are like 10 miles from my house.
Wow.
But Whale Rider is about this young Maori girl in New Zealand who becomes the chief of her clan, and is like, women aren't supposed to do that in this culture. It's just beautiful. It was Keisha Castle Hughes' first gig. She's one of the is it Sand Snakes in Game of Thrones?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then she was Queen Amidala's bodyguard in that Phantom Menace, which we speak not of.
Yes.
Yeah.
That. Wow.
But yeah, that one, if you haven't seen it, I highly, highly recommend it. It's so good.
Oh.
We'll definitely have to check that out.
Before I get to my next question here, I just had to ask you about any feature work you've done in the past here.
I've only really been an actor on one feature, and it was just a day player sort of thing. I drove down to Nashville to do one day on a queer ladies holiday rom-com, which was interesting because it's a very different culture of filmmaking down there than it is up here. Like you hear all the time from people in other regions that like film crew people, they want to hire Midwesterners because our work ethic is insane.
Yeah.
Not that this was a bad experience. It was just different. And that was a lot to learn. That was really cool. That was the last thing I did before everything shut down, because I did that. I drove back to Minnesota and went to work the next day. And the day after that was told not to come back in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
I've also done some art department and PA work on films. I think you guys had Rachel Weber on like first episode or something, right?
Yep.
So I was a PA / art department pre-production for the film that she and Barry Anderson did. Oh crap, we just talked about it. What is it called? Relentless. And Rachel knows this, but I always want to call it The Revengeance for some reason, and I know that's not what it's called. Yeah.
Sequel.
Oh boy. That would be. She goes on a rampage to kill the house that's basement flooded.
Yes.
There you go. Somebody write that. So that one, I cleaned the basement so that it could be flooded. Scrubbed it down like really hardcore so that nobody got sick from any weird things floating in water.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think very important.
Would not have thought about that. Very good call.
Yeah. It was they got a house that was going to be torn down, and the owners were like, "Yeah, go ahead, do whatever." So
wow.
Right.
Yeah. So the rest of the house had been completely emptied and gutted, and then we were just using this basement. I was like, "This is pretty gross."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got some dish soap and a mop and a pressure washer, and spent like 3 days just cleaning a basement. Yeah.
That reminds me of like Caddyshack. I'm sorry, I diverged there. Just where he's cleaning the pool.
Yeah. Oh god.
It's a baby
no Snicker
Ruth.
bars. No baby Ruths in the water.
Yeah. Here it is.
And then the other one that I did was Soviet Sleep Experiment, also with Barry Anderson. And that was why can't I think of anybody's name right now? I have so much brain fog. Christ, who is big in the special effects makeup industry here in town.
Ooh, yeah.
He was the head of the art department, so I came in and worked under him for like a week.
Wow.
Which was incredible learning. He makes a lot of like prosthetics and prosthesis for makeup and for like body parts. He used to do a lot of medical makeup work.
Wow.
So yeah, interesting to see how you make like human flesh and blood and other disgusting things. Yeah, so that's about all I've done feature wise anyway. I'm always looking for the right project, and most of the projects I tend to see are horror flicks and stuff, which I'm a big scaredy cat. Like I don't want to watch them, so I kind of don't want to be in them. So.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Hard pass on that.
Okay. Well, I won't go to you if I have a horror. Well, I do thriller-ish. They're not really
thriller-ish.
horror.
I can be okay with, but like
it depends. There's a thin line.
Yeah. I had a professor in college that used to call like all the slasher films like Saw and stuff. She called them gore porn or gorn. I'm like, yep, that's the kind of thing I'm not really into. Slasher flicks.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what is there something you do really want to do now more than ever? Now that you've kind of had this pause, you know.
I love series work. I think you get to play with a character a lot more, and then with the people around you. So I'm always into series. That thing I mentioned that I'm writing is a series that I'm hoping we might be able to shoot the proof of concept pilot this summer. But that I'd love to do because I'm writing it is for me, right? Because they say create the things you want to do. And it's one of those characters that I've always wanted to do. It's always been high on my list.
That's perfect.
I don't want to give too much away yet.
Right.
Intellectual property and all of that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then I just like doing different stuff. Like if it's a fun project, I'm in.
Yeah. There's a lot of those happening around here too.
Yeah.
So that's good. So what is next for you? And if maybe it's that project that you're writing and hoping to shoot this summer, or maybe there's something else sort of also in the works.
I mean, I hope that's next. I had planned to move to Chicago before everything shut down, and obviously that didn't happen.
Wow. Yeah.
So that might still be a possibility. really, it's just keeping an eye out for stuff. I do some training video work and stuff. So I've got my agents still looking for that stuff. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's keeping on.
Yeah, basically. I probably just actually what's absolutely next for me is I'm going to binge watch the prequel series for Yellowstone.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah. More TV.
Understandable.
Yes.
Priorities.
Yeah, right? Come on.
Maybe Cowboy Bebop. You never know. So
I've been thinking about it.
because you're one and done, so you don't have much more to go. It's just it's
true.
It is finite. So
Yeah. Unless it got picked up by somebody else. It's
Yeah.
still a
That can
possibility,
happen.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine is proof. That can happen.
Yeah.
Mm,
Mhm.
yeah.
Baywatch was proof. Baywatch started on one network and then got bought by another one.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't know
I
that.
remember that. Yeah.
I didn't either.
Huh.
But it started in like 1989, so I did not watch the first season.
No.
I was a baby.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
tiny.
True.
Like, long but tiny.
Huh.
Yeah.
Where can people find your work, Kaija, or contact you perhaps?
Yeah. I am on Twitter and Instagram at KR Pellinen. So my first and second initials and then my last name. And then my website is kaijapellinen.com.
Oh, that's handy.
I am the only Kaija Pellinen in the United States. I'm 90% sure I'm the only Kaija Pellinen in the world. So getting my own domain name, not difficult.
Right.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super easy to find. As she was saying that, I just found her on Instagram and followed her like that. So everyone in here or everyone listening can do this before I'm done talking, which I understand feels like never, but it's very easy to find her.
On Instagram, you'll just see a lot of random projects that I'm doing, like weird woodworking and cross stitching, and probably my dog too.
Those are special skills.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Hire me for your next cross stitching project.
I mean, that could be a role all in itself.
True. I could be very good at like sitting in a rocking chair on a porch, doing embroidery and some Western.
That
There you
sounds
go.
amazing. Honestly,
There you go.
you could
Yeah.
do that. I'll sit next to you on the porch in a rocking chair just drinking. Because let's be
I-
honest, there's
can
always
I-
somebody who's drinking.
Yeah. Can I drink at the same time I'm doing embroidery?
I mean, I feel like that's appropriate. So yeah,
Great.
absolutely. And then we could just have little weird bickery conversations about nothingness. And
That
then
sounds
some
like a series.
kids-
Like this
Oh,
is TikTok, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
This feels like a
100%.
sketch to me, like an
Yeah.
ongoing sketch or something.
And then like
Yeah.
people just randomly walk up and we're just those sassy, like in your 30s ladies.
Yes.
But we're dressed like old, like pioneer women, like Leslie Knope when she goes
gunny
to do-
sacks and bonnets.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, definitely bonnets.
Yeah.
And there's like one of those like churn your own butter things in the corner.
Oh, okay.
We can make
this is gonna happen at some point, right?
This can definitely happen.
Like
There's-
And we can
long
get Rachel
dresses.
on too and just have like
Oh,
three
yeah.
random
The three of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a
Perfect.
banjo, but none of us can play. Like
I can't play banjo, but I do have a banjo mandolin, which I can play.
I'm so intrigued by that.
It's a strange little instrument.
I would love to play banjo. My life goal is to learn how to play the ukulele. So,
Mm.
oh, even better. Let's have a ukulele there because that doesn't fit the scenario at all.
I've got
That's
one.
just random.
Yeah. There's
That's
one
just random.
behind the piano over there.
That's perfect. Oh my gosh, this is gonna
Ready.
be the best series ever.
Go for
Move
it,
over,
ladies.
Lonely Island.
You have the iPhone, Rahana, so just you have all you need.
3 ladies on a porch.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Oh man,
I'm ready.
Rachel,
I'm
Rachel,
ready.
we're gonna call you.
Yeah.
Okay, phenomenal. So
The greatest callback of all time.
There you
I
go.
love it. All right, so Kaija, the big question: what do you want people to remember most about you? Whether it's from watching your work or working with you across the board.
That I'm a good teammate, but also that I'm an agent of chaos. So like I'm a good but chaotic teammate. There have
like
been
it.
occasions where it's like we've been doing a week long of night shoots and everybody's tired and exhausted and wants to go home. And I have one of those inflatable dinosaur costumes. So like, as long as I'm not in hair and makeup, I'll throw that on and run around on set between meal breaks, just to give everybody something to laugh about.
I love that. That's
Something the boomerang on Instagram or something.
Yes. 100% yes. Yeah, absolutely. Two ladies on a porch with a dinosaur. Like, that's new name.
I'm ready.
Or we could have a cat or like a dog, and they could have the little like dinosaur, like a pet dinosaur. Ooh,
yeah,
that could be fun.
See, one of my dreams is to own all of the different variations of the inflatable dinosaur costume. So like the one where it looks like you're riding on one, the Velociraptor.
Yep.
I've got the T-Rex. I'm hoping for a Brontosaurus at some point. Like,
that makes sense.
Yeah,
I like it. All right. Well, as we work on that, thank you so much for joining us. This has been really fun.
Thank you guys for having me. This was a blast.
This is awesome. We'll definitely have to have you back on soon.
I'd love to.
And everyone listening, thank you for your time. Thanks for joining us. We will catch you again later.